Okay, so now it's all back up. Okay, so for the audience here, if you please, I'm going to do a screen share. Please go to your Blackboard, and once you go to your Blackboard, I'll show you. It's the same thing. You need to go to classwork, and once you go to classwork, you can see it. It's on the left panel, and the last one is classwork. I want you to click classwork. Once you click classwork, you will. Oh goodness! It's just it kicked me out today. Okay, so hopefully, let me see whether you're able to see it or not. Screen share, hopefully. Yeah, I think now I should be able to see. Okay, so classwork, once you go to classwork, you will not see any of this because as I always do, I've hidden it from your view so that you don't get confused. The only thing, what happened here? 1 second. That is not your, oh, so that's the reason that's not here. Okay. Now you should see class assignment, and you will not be able to see any of these assignments. The only one that it's all hidden from your view. The only one that you should be able to see is the peer evaluation, informative speech, day 3. Today is the last day. So the same set of questions, nothing new. You've already been through that. Comment on the strength of the narrative. Is it consistent? Is there a good flow in the storytelling quality of the speech? Number 2 is what kind of informative strategies has the speaker used? Explaining, defining, describing, demonstrating narration. What strategy could be used more to make the speech more effective? Third one is you need to really pay close attention to the conclusion of the speaker and to conclusion of the speech rather, and comment on the metaphor. Has the speaker used a metaphor in the conclusion? Is it relevant? And what alternative metaphor could you suggest to the speaker? All right, so these are the 3 questions. And today, I think this is what you have signed up. 1 second here. We'll do stop share here. And as I see, we'll have Santiago as our first speaker. Josh will go second, and third, Vinny will go the third place. Okay. And Santiago, would you like me to time you, or like I can show you my fingers, like as in 2 minutes left, 1 minute left, 30 seconds stop, or I can show you note cards too, whatever you prefer.
Yeah, the fingers.
Okay. All right, Santiago. Okay, I will. I've just timed my, this is just for me so that I know how you on time, but I'm not. Okay, all right. 5.
Okie dokie.
I'm sorry.
Just let me know if you can hear me when I start presenting. Just give me a thumbs up.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Yeah.
Okay.
1 second here. I'm just going to remove myself so I don't see myself here. Yeah, I can't see you yet, Santiago.
Oh,
Okay.
So, can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can hear you, yes.
Okay.
Go.
Have you ever walked into a Chinese restaurant and noticed a bunch of animals either on the wall or on your placemat? Many people pay little to no attention to these symbols, but little did you know these symbols carry much greater meaning behind them. These symbols are known as the Chinese zodiacs. Almost a fourth of the world believe in them. The Chinese zodiacs can be helpful with determining what the current Chinese year is, what animal you are, and they're often used to make very important decisions in life. For the past week, I decided to learn about a new cultural faith people believed in, the Chinese zodiacs. I found this topic to be pretty interesting to me because I always used to search up my horoscope back then to see what the month had planned out for me, or to see if I was compatible with certain people at the time. It wasn't until I started watching anime though, when I found out that the Chinese had their own version of it. Since Chinese culture has been developed for over 1,000 years without any Western influence, their calendar looks different. The Chinese lunar calendar is made up of 5 segments that are 12 years long each. This would mean an entire cycle would be 60 years long. This sequence is referred to as the animal zodiacs. Each of the 12 years is represented by an animal. The animals that represent the zodiacs are as follows: rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, sheep, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. This order never changes. That way, if we're currently on the year of the tiger, which is 2022, we know that the year before was the year of the ox, and the one that follows is the year of the rabbit. In Western astrology, people believe it is one's birth month that it is important to determining one's destiny. But on the other hand, the Chinese believe it is one's birth year that's most important. The Chinese zodiacs can be used to determine fortune and misfortune, personality, career prospects, and how someone would do in that year. As I said, the Chinese zodiacs have affected many major decisions in people's lives. The Chinese zodiacs, people who follow the Chinese zodiacs have used them to choose who they would marry because they simply believe some animals get along better than others. This being the case, they also believe they have natural enemies. I was born in 2002, so I'm a horse. I get along best with the sheep and the tiger. People who follow this culture also believe or use it to determine when their child would be born because they believe some animals are just luckier than others. The dragon, which is a symbol of power, strength, and wealth, is very desirable. In the year 2012, which was the year of the dragon, China saw a 5% increase in their birth rate. One of the few undesirable animals is the tiger because of its violent personality. During the year of the tiger, many Chinese regions saw a sharp decline in their birth rate. The most exciting part of this challenge to me was finding out what animal I was and seeing if it matched the type of person I am. I even bothered to ask my friends and family what animal they were to see if the description matched theirs. And we just had a good time talking about who we would be compatible with, which one of us was going to be successful, and which one of us was going to be a failure. I guess the only obstacle I faced while learning about the Chinese zodiacs was memorizing what animals represented them and what order they went. The effect this challenge can have on someone would be that you start to see the world different. You start to remind yourself that it's important to pay attention to the many societies because we all think different. We can easily misunderstand each other because of our many beliefs, and it's nice to have an open mind about our many differences and similarities. Thank you.
All right. So Santiago, if we tell you our birth year, will you be able to tell us what animal we are?
Maybe. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I just memorized the speech.
Right. Okay. Interesting. All right. Thank you. Okay. If you could write your feedback for Santiago. I often think about, the maths that they provide in Chinese restaurants. That has a whole lot of, and that exactly has what you were, what you talked about, all the animals and snake and dragon. And I think I'm can't remember right now. I think I may be a snake. How is a snake perceived, Santiago?
I think
Difficult question.
I'm not really sure. I'm sorry.
Oh God. All right. All right. Yes, Valeria, you can. Valeria, you're in the 4th position. After Santiago, we have second here. After Santiago, we have Josh, and then after Josh, we have Vinny, and then after Vinny, you are in the 4th position. All right, let's move on to our next speaker. Josh, if you could.
Is this good?
Yeah, this is good. Would you like me to time you, show you with my like 1 minute, 2 minutes left?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you can start.
So my challenge was to learn a new language, and the language I chose to learn was Spanish. And it's always been a little elusive to me, I guess, to speak Spanish because I'm Mexican, right? And my dad only speaks Spanish to me, and my mom is bilingual, yet I've never actually been fluent in Spanish at all. And I figured it should happen eventually. And also, the older you get, the harder it is to learn a new language. So I know I have to start soon. So for this challenge, I chose to get my mom and my dad, if we could, sit them down and just try to get them to speak Spanish to me, help me learn for like an hour at a time for a week. And the reason I chose this was because I'm not fluent in it. I can't speak it, and I'm scared to speak it because I'm not good at it. And I feel like I'm embarrassing myself if I try. So all I really do is listen and try to translate it in my head and then just respond in English. So that's for everyone. That's for my dad. That's for when I go to work and I talk to my coworkers, and some of them speak Spanish to me because I look Mexican enough, I guess. And I'll listen and I try to respond in English, but sometimes I don't fully understand them. Learning Spanish would help that, learning to communicate with them. And then also all of my family, most of my family basically exclusively speaks Spanish. So obviously communicating with my family better would help a lot in my life. And also my girlfriend, she's Mexican, she's bilingual, but her parents strictly speak Spanish and they can speak English. But obviously, if I can speak Spanish to them, that will help me out a lot. So every day I sat for an hour trying to learn as much Spanish as I could. And obviously it helped a lot. Learning Spanish is a journey, definitely. But, more practice, the most practice you can get will always help a lot. And I feel like the biggest challenge for me was always speaking it, like forming sentences, because in Spanish, the sentence structure isn't exactly the same in English. It's different. So if I just try to do what I do, say something in English in my head and then translate it when I speak it, it's not going to come out right. It's going to come out sounding very weird. So that was something to get used to. When a Spanish word ends in A, like comida, it's feminine. And if it ends in O, then it's masculine. So making sure when I speak like a full sentence, everything is conjugated correctly. And it ends with, when I refer to comida, I say ella, because it's feminine. Getting that always correct is also something I have to focus on because I need it will sound weird if I don't. People notice, the native Spanish speakers will notice right away. And I don't want to be embarrassed like that. So I learned as much as I could, and it did help a lot. And I'm hoping what I learned will help a lot with communicating with my parents, my family, my coworkers, because language is very important, especially to people who are in a foreign country and they come here, and as soon as they find someone who understands their native language, you automatically have such a closer bond, a closer connection, and they feel like they trust you, they know you a little more, maybe just that little bit more. And I'm Mexican. I would want to try to, help them feel more at home, help them not feel so weird in a different country, especially all my family who traveled from Mexico here, and then they're stuck with me, and I only speak English to them, or my Spanish ends up being very broken. So I'm doing this as much for me as much for everyone else that I'm trying to speak Spanish with. So I guess just to wrap it all up, Spanish is definitely learning how to ride a bike. Learning how to ride a bike with all the scrapes and falls and bruises, you're getting one step closer to just fully riding it with no worries. And I'm definitely trying to get there. So that's learning Spanish.
Thank you. Thank you. You could write your feedback for Josh. Thank you. Vinny, are you ready? Vinny?
I'm in the car. Is that fine?
You need to be in a position, in a standing position in front of the camera, and just the same regulations that's applicable for your classmates.
Okay.
So if you need time, what I can do is I can ask Valeria to present.
Yeah, because I'll be at COD in like a half hour, 25 minutes. So I'll be able to do it there.
Okay, so we will have to move on after you, and when you're ready, let us know. If the class is still on, then we'll be able to cover you, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, so let's go with Valeria.
Okay, 1 second.
All right. All right, Valeria. Okay.
It's that good?
Do you, yeah, this is good. Do you want me to time you and show you like,
Yeah, fingers is fine.
okay, all right, you can start.
Okay. For me, life has always been a hustle between school and working full time, dance, sports, and taking care of my brother and family. I've always been the type of person that has to say no to certain plans I get invited to because I have other things going on most of the time. And this has been okay with me because throughout time, I simply just got used to it. But it can always get a bit frustrating because when something does not work out the way it should, then it gets stressful for me to be able to keep up. Things such as helping my mom find a home for us when she separated, or going to parent-teacher conferences for my brother, or picking him up from sports, dropping him up at school, or helping him with homework or any struggles that are going around the house. If something comes up with my mom, I'm there to help her, and like just the extra things in general that add some extra weight to my things. And maybe some people my age usually do not have to constantly handle, became very normal for me to handle. Sometimes I even forgot to take care of my own things because I would get so worried about helping others that around me and being there for my family that I like forgot about my own things, and it got very challenging. And it's not a bad thing to be there for your family, but sometimes when it's a lot, it can become like a little bit stressful. The challenge I chose to do was journaling. And the reason why I chose it was because I've always felt like it was a good way to release some stress, and write down all the things that you did during the day kind of helps you like release some of your emotions. I've always believed that journaling was a good habit to have, and it also helps you a little with being more organized and aware of your time. This was very challenging for me because some days I leave my house at 8 in the morning and I don't come back until 11 p.m. So to be coming back home like tired from my day and still being able to sit and write was challenging, but it helped me. Like it was like a little relaxing to just being able to write my day down. So what I did for this challenge is that every day on a PowerPoint or like a little like notebook, I will write what I did that day and how I felt about it. And then I will be like, I will still like think about like how grateful I was for that new day, you know, because some people like go through more. So I was like still grateful that even though I was busy, at least I'm healthy and my family is healthy. So for example, for me, days like for example, Tuesdays, I wake up and I go to school until like 10:50 a.m. And then I have to be at work by 11:08. So, and it's like a 15-minute drive. So I like rush right after school and then I go to work. I don't have time to stop for coffee or anything. And for work, I nanny 3 girls. So I'm always moving around and very actively like cleaning and playing games, doing crafts, driving to sports, driving to school, everything. So I get out at around 5:30 p.m. Okay. And from there, I drive around 1 hour and 20 minutes to Chicago, depending on traffic, for dance rehearsal, because that's where the studio is at. And I stay there from 7 to like 9:30 p.m. And then I get home at like around 10:45 or 11, like depending on how long the drive is, or if the rehearsal like extended for like a longer time. And then I get home and then I try to like still do my things like cleaning and stuff like that. But then sometimes my brother needs help with homework and I have to help him with homework. So days like this are a little more challenging, and they were more challenging for me to journal because it was a lot of running back and forth and not even having time to like have a meal, like sit it down. And I kept writing and journaling and being very grateful for my days, no matter how busy they could be. And it felt nice to do something new and keeping up with it, being able to keep up with it. To conclude, my days always vary and they're extremely busy. Sometimes I work 14-hour shifts and like it's just like a lot of crazy things. But after this challenge, I realized that writing down your day and how you feel can be very helpful to release some stress. And no matter how many obstacles I get throughout my days, journaling helped me realize that I got through it. It's fine. Tomorrow will be a new day. And even though I've troubled with having enough time to like keep up with my things, journaling helped me see that it is extremely important to be grateful for our days and the things we get to wake up and do every day.
All right, thank you. All right, please write your feedback for Valeria. And soon after this, we will start talking about our next segment, which is argumentation and debate.
So should we wait to submit it until Winnie?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
please. Yes, don't submit it. Just wait till Winnie finishes the speech. Okay, 1 second here. Just, all right. Okay, moving on. I'm going to show you 1 second here. Let me see whether I am to unpin. Valeria is still pinned. Okay, all right. Okay. So I will, yep. Okay, so this is the next section that I'm going to do a little bit of a screen share to show where we are. So today, as I mentioned, we are done with our informative speeches, and but we have one more left, but we will continue. We'll start talking about our next speech that is coming up. And here we go. I will do a screen share to show you where we are in our syllabus. Monday, Wednesday, got it here. So this is where we are, class. So as you can see from today is the 7th, so today was the last day of our informative speech, and then from the 9th, which is Tuesday, is a holiday, it's election day and the school is closed. Anyways, we don't meet on Tuesdays. So we're going to meet on Wednesday, and we will start, and that was the plan, that we'll start talking about our persuasive speech. And I will, we're going to have a few sessions on persuasive speech. So we'll have session 1, 2, 3. You can see 3, 4 sessions where we will actually study and observe and discuss persuasive speeches. And you'll see that there'll be multiple concepts that we will be talking about. But primarily, we will be talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We will be talking right now. It sounds like really esoteric, but we'll get there. We'll start talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We'll talk about Monroe's motivated sequence, which are the 5 steps to that we will understand, discuss, and see how we can use those 5 steps in order to persuade an audience. So we'll be looking at Monroe's motivated sequence as a theory, as a template, if you can think about it as a template as well, if that's more helpful, to understand how do we write and how do we think of persuasive speeches. That's one of the things. The other few concepts that we will be talking about is cognitive dissonance theory. That's another important concept for us to understand how persuasion happens in our mind. And the third one is elaboration likelihood model. Okay, so I think these 3 theories are pretty helpful for us to understand, but the biggest push and emphasis will be on Monroe's motivated sequence, which are the 5 steps of persuasion. So that's what we'll be doing. So as you can see, that we will have we'll have 4 classes: November 9th, November 14th. November 14th, that's when we are going to meet in class that day. We'll be meeting in the Glen Ellen Center that day. November 14th, we'll be meeting then, and then November 16th and November 21st. And soon after that, we have that whole week. 23rd will be off. Then we'll be coming back on the 28th. We'll have a workshop by that time. So basically, you can see by the 21st of November, within a few weeks, another 4 weeks, we will be ready to write. We'll finish off writing our speech. Okay, by the 21st, we get that break, but we are finished with the writing. We are finished with doing our research, getting our writing done, so that you guys don't have to worry about anything, at least for my class, during the break. Okay, so because you've already submitted your writing to me on Sunday, actually on November 20th. You've already submitted that to me, and then we get into our break. That whole week is off, and then on the 28th we come back, and that's when we meet on Zoom. And we have a workshop format. That's something that we've done it again and again. And we meet, and then I'll go and review all your outlines with you on a one-on-one basis, and then you also get feedback from 2 of your peers. So that's what the plan is. And then from November 30th, we'll be meeting on Zoom, and we have 4 speech days instead of 3 speech days. There's a reason why I'm doing this. There'll be a separate component that I will be introducing, and we'll call this, when you'll have some questions that you would need to answer. Once you're done with your speech, you'll have 2 questions or 2 counter arguments that will be placed before you by the audience. So the audience will also be working hard when your speech is going on to find out how do you push how do they push your position? How do they counter argue with you? And there'll be two questions that you will be you'll be getting right after your speech that you need to respond to as a form, what we call the technical debate term for that is how do you refute? How do you defend your position? All right. So that's refutation will come in when we are doing that. So that's why I have put in another extra day, because we'll go back and forth, and it'll not the speaking time. Your speaking time will be 5 minutes, but the question answer session might take around 2 to 3 minutes extra. So I'd probably have think about 9 to 10 minutes per student. So that's the reason we have another extra day. And then that's the last week, I guess. All right. So we are almost coming to, we still have time. We have this whole month of November to enjoy. And then December first week, I think pretty much by the second week, you guys are done. Yeah. So yeah, by the second week, you guys are almost done. So that's what the timeline will look like. Okay. So I'm going to stop this, and this is what I am going to talk to you about. I already have it all prepared and everything, so I'll just start. I was thinking about doing it on Wednesday, but it's good. It's a Monday, and we'll get started. Okay, so I just have to make sure that it is already on your course site. If it is not, I will put it in. So let me just go into Blackboard. Instructor PowerPoint. Let me see whether, okay, so it's not in as yet. Okay, so I will put it in for you guys. So let's see. Okay. Build content here, file. And this is, and I'll call it everything that you need to know about persuasive speech, of course, will be in your online book and in my notes. And here is what I have for you. 5. Here we go. That's the one. And submit. Okay, so everything that you want to know should be in your chapters, and this is my notes. Okay, so I will click this one, and then I'll talk to you. But before we start our session, there are a few questions that I want to ask you. Okay, so I'm going to put it on chat here, and this is what I will ask all of you, and you could respond through chat or just raise your hand and just talk, however you prefer. So my first question to you is, give me a list of broad areas of interest. Right. Interest. For example, so give me a list of broad areas of interest. For example, for me, my area of interest is, okay, I am interested in culture. Okay, I am interested in culture. I am interested in race. I am interested in nationalism. These are my broad areas of interest. Okay. And now if you ask me, all right, so you're interested in culture, you're interested in race, you're interested in nationalism. What exactly in nationalism are you interested in? What, like nationalism is a pretty broad topic. what concerns you in nationalism. Then I'll talk to you about, and the way I'm thinking about it is kind of what is my perspective. What do I have a bias? Do I look at nationalism in a certain way, which could be debated, where somebody else might have a different position about nationalism or culture? Okay. What kind of, what is my narrow area of interest when I think about culture? Okay. I can think about cross-cultural communication. That could be my narrow area of interest. How do people from two different cultures communicate? Okay, that could be my that's my area of interest. Of course, that's what I specialize in, and that is my narrow area of interest. Now, so that's going to be, I'm going to give you an example here. So I kind of gave you my broad area of interest, which is culture, race, nationalism, and then I tell you narrow area of interest, and I'll give you an example on culture, area of interest. And I will probably tell you that what are some of the communication issues or concerns in cross-cultural communication. Okay, so that's my narrow area of interest, that I am interested to know what kind of communication issues that or concerns one might have when they are trying to communicate within two different cultures. Okay, so that could be my narrow area of interest. Now, if I tell you that you and if you ask me, okay, now can you give me a persuasive, now that this is your narrow area of interest, would you be able to create a persuasive speech based on your narrow area of interest? I said, I'll try. Okay. So here, I'm trying it. I'm just doing it with you. So my bias, you can see that a little bit of my bias was reflected in the narrow area of interest, but this bias will become even more stronger. Okay. So my persuasive speech based on my narrow area of interest, persuasive speech title or topic. TIE, 1 second. Okay, and I'm thinking about this. Okay. Okay. This could be a little. Maybe not. 1 second. Let me think about this. I want to make it more direct. This is something that I was always passionate about. Okay, this is okay. So this is a controversial topic. Okay, or persuasive because it definitely shows a very strong bias. Okay, so if I say that grading speeches should be based on the power of idea or content, I will grade a student's speech completely based on how powerful the idea of the speech is. And let's say the student has several grammatical mistakes, has in terms of language or syntax, there's several mistakes, and I don't look at that. Okay, and I just look at the power of his or her idea in the speech. And I say that grading should be completely based on that, and we as instructors, speech instructors, we should not be looking at at grammar or syntax or the way grammatical, we should ignore grammatical errors and not consider that. That may be very controversial, and that may go against somebody else, because they'll say that no, I will look at grammar. Another instructor might say no, absolutely, I do agree that we should be looking at how powerful the content or the idea of the speech is, but we should also be looking at language or grammar, because you in a public forum, or where English is the main language, you cannot be, you cannot have a speech, or you cannot have grammatical errors, because people will not be, first it reduces your credibility, and then people will not be able to understand you. So how can you absolutely ignore grammar in a speech? So that's a position that I have. As you can see, there was a completely, as I told you, let's say my broad area of interest is culture. All right, that's a very broad area, and you can think about so many things in terms of culture, right? So many hundreds and hundreds of things that you can talk about in terms of culture. And then I told you that if I look at culture, this is my narrow area of interest, which is communication issues or concerns in cross-cultural communication, because I have observed that there are some students whose language, for who English is not their first language, and I see that there are some communication issues that they have. All right, so that is my overall my interest. Okay, that is something that I've been thinking about, and I've tried to do research in order to how do I help them, how do I get what do I do in class to kind of accommodate everybody in class. So I keep thinking about this. That's my narrow area of interest. And you can see that there is a bias there. Okay, it's a productive one, because I'm trying to understand and I'm trying to help other person. I'm not shutting down the other person and saying that no, that person doesn't have any room in my class or anything like that. I'm just trying to figure out how do I be more inclusive, and how do I as an instructor kind of welcome everybody in my class. Okay, no matter whether English is your first language, second language, third language, doesn't matter. Okay, so that's where my bias is. Okay, and now then I kind of, the third progression in my thought is persuasive speech title. So if this is what my bias is, and I'm going to create a persuasive speech, a 5-minute speech for all of you to hear, how do I get a persuasive speech out of this? So that here my bias becomes even stronger. When I say stronger, you'll see that either when I make a title like this or create a title like this, somebody in the audience might say, no, I do not agree with you. No, absolutely not. Grading should be based on both language and the power of ideas. It cannot be just based on the power of idea. I may be completely opposed to my position, can completely reject my position. So that's what a persuasive speech is. It shows your bias, your stand on a topic. And the way to do a litmus test on the strength of your topic is ask yourself, when you've written that on the topic, is that, do you think somebody who's going to come up with a completely counter position, or somebody who will come up with a title which will be completely opposite to what to what you are supporting, or you are pointing out? Okay, so here this one, as you see, my persuasive speech topic is a very controversial one, and it is a topic that it is a title that may not be somebody else's position, and they may completely reject my idea and say absolutely not. Grading speeches should be done based on the power of idea, yes, and on the and grammar as well. So both should be looked at, not just one. Okay, so that could be somebody else's position. So that's how I wanted to show you my progression of thoughts. Now, when I ask you this question is, tell me, I want to know what your broad area of interest is. So A. So I would like all of you to submit this right now while we are in class. So what is your broad area of interest? It could be several areas, all right? Broad areas of interest and interest. And then B, question B is your narrow area of interest. So pick one and then kind of make it narrow, which kind of will show your bias, of course. So your narrow area of interest, and C is, you can look at some of my examples just to kind of get an idea. And C is a persuasive speech topic based on topic or title, if you will, based on your based on B or your narrow area of interest. Okay, so C. So I would like to hear this from all of you. Take your time. You could put it on chat. I think that's the best way, so that we can get to see everybody's response. Take about, how much time should I give you? I'll give you all about 3 to 4 minutes. And once you're done, put it on chat and make sure that it goes to everyone so that everybody could see.
Hello.
All right, so let's see what you have added here. Let's see. Okay, so Amber, you said development of the human mindset, psychology. That's what you're interested in. All right, Amber, now based on this, would you be able to tell me what your narrow area of interest is and a persuasive speech topic that comes to your mind based on your narrow area of interest? Okay. Rebel, broad areas of gender studies, narrow gender and sexuality, persuasive speech. Okay. Heteronormativity. Okay, what does that mean? Rebel, tell us.
It's how like we force the state forces the gender and the different sexualities to fit into the system that we have built that's heteronormative, where you have to get married, you have to have children, you have to have those tick those marks that are already established, yeah,
Okay,
to be
okay.
successful or happy in
Right,
life.
right.
Otherwise
Got it.
they'll point you out as the odd one.
All right,
Yeah.
it will be a controversial topic and it will definitely shows your bias and your perspective. So you'll be able to get lots of topics. So hetero, so basically normativity. All right, how you're trying to make sure that that's normal, right? So
Yeah.
that and we're going to be talking how and this is your
Yeah, because
stand and
even
you-
if as we like accept the differences, like different genders and different sexualities, even then we want them to just fit into the already broken system that there is,
right, okay.
right? Because we always like whenever we point out the different person like in the society, we point them out as not having people around them, losing family, not like birthing children and everything else.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Okay, I do. Yeah, and that's the area of interest. Wonderful. So
Yeah.
look forward to your topic. Great. Okay.
okay.
So Grace, Japanese language and culture, astrology, fashion. Narrow area of how does Japanese culture differ from American culture? Japanese culture versus American culture. So this is, you know what, Grace. Unless if I'm reading it correct, I mean I'm also very interested in culture, and you're going to be. So it seems to me so far. It seems to me when you're saying Japanese culture versus American culture, it seems to me informative, where you're going to talk about the differences between the two culture. Now, what I'm going to push you into thinking, and it's a great starting point. If there is a perspective that you have, perhaps, and we're going to give an example here, and it's a great teaching moment for me. So thank you for your topic. For example, let's say that you say that the Japanese culture is
I was actually thinking, I guess an argumentative talking point could be that Japanese culture honors respect more than American culture, probably.
That's it. You got it. So that becomes controversial, because somebody else might say that yes, of course they have a lot of concept about respect, but so does American culture. American culture also has maybe the way we look at respect is different than the way we respect is seen in the Japanese culture. And they may counter argue with you, but they give you examples of what respect for us is, right? So that's exactly, you got the point. You got a bias there, and you're saying that Japanese culture has a stronger concept of respect than the American culture. Is that is that correct?
That's what I was thinking. I didn't mean to come off as informative, but yeah, that's what I was trying to aim towards.
Yeah. So actually, you know what, there is I don't know which, I think it was maybe Mandarin, a whole concept about, it's very interesting, and I'm just talking about this because I that's my area of interest as well. The concept of it's not a Japanese word. I think it's in Mandarin, so I may have to look it up. But the concept of Lao, Lao, which is supposed to be respect for the elderly. That's one word that means respect for the elderly. However, if you think about the, American culture is basically it's a it's a melting pot. So we have so many different cultures, but now we're in America. So I would think about that as a very melting pot, multicultural culture. But if you think about the American culture, I'm thinking about English. In English, we have the term respect, and we have another term which is elderly, but there's no one term which actually says respect for the elderly. They're two separate words. However, in the Mandarin culture, there's one word that shows Lao, which means respect for the elderly. So it's interesting, and this goes back to, if you even want to research it further, it goes back to Sapir-Whorf's hypothesis. Language is shaped by human perception. So perhaps in their culture, in the Mandarin culture, there is the importance of respect and the elderly is of such a paramount importance that they have just one word to indicate, to show what respect is. However, maybe for us here who are in North America, we have to, we don't want to mix the both, because we don't see that as or we do when we think about it in a separated way. But maybe the importance of that concept about respect for the elderly is not that strong. Okay, so that's again a theory. All right, so it's Sapir-Whorf's theory. It's that language. It's very similar to the notion of why Eskimos, why do they have 100 synonyms for the word snow, whereas we probably have 10 or 14 or 15 here, because we don't deal with snow as much, right? But they do. So maybe they're talking about a particular form of snow which makes them easy to slide, or makes them or particular kind of snow that is helpful for their crops or vegetation, or the particular kind of snow that kind of which will make them think about wearing a particular jacket, because they deal with snow on a much more daily basis than us. So it's the same concept. Okay, so I was pretty excited about this one. So yeah, you can actually look at Sapir-Whorf's hypothesis and actually think about Japanese culture and the respect, and American culture. That'd be a fascinating one to explore. Okay, so let me just go here. Zanaya says African American culture, that's her broad area of interest, the truths of it and how the African American culture has developed through the years. Okay, so I got your bias there, that how it developed. You want to see the history. But Zanaya, my question to you is, what would make this controversial? How would you get a stand or an opinion which will be kind of controversial, where you have your own perspective? What is it that about African American culture that could kind of generate a conversation where somebody can have a very different position than you? Right now, it seems to be informative.
Right now, I wasn't really sure. I was gonna think about that, but I just wanted to learn more about that culture and
Sure. Okay, so that's what I'm going to say. you're going in the right direction. Now I want you to, this will require you to delve into it further. And once you start understanding the history of African American culture, I have no doubts in my mind that you'll be able to get a position, you'll be able to develop a position which will be controversial, where you will have your own stand, you'll have your own perspective, which may not be, which may have a very opposite, where I might say that I don't agree with you, and I have a very different position than you. Okay, so I would love to hear what your position would be about African American culture that could be controversial, that could have conflicting views amongst people. Okay, all right. Give me a second, class. I think one of my students is. All right. So then we have, okay, lots of, wow, we've got lots of. Okay, let me just quickly go over this one. Jules says that art, animals, and fashion. Okay. Jules, do you have a follow-up? Do you have a, yes, art, animals, fashion, personal expression through art? Personal expression through art. Why is it important not to restrict creativity through? Oh, very good. Nice. Why is it? So Jules says, why is it important not to restrict creativity through clothing, hair, and makeup? Controversial, and people can talk about, it's maybe it's not very professional to look a certain way, or to do, or not very professional to have tattoos, but it's going to be a controversial topic. All right, well done. Okay, that was Jules for us. Then I know that I may have missed somebody. Okay, Valeria says that Latin culture compared to American culture. That's your, so culture, I would probably think that, Valeria, that's your broad area of interest. Specifically, it is Latin culture compared to American culture. So you're doing a comparative analysis, healthy lifestyles, healthy habits, psychology. So, so if I ask you Latin culture, let's say I take this one, Latin culture compared to American culture, it seems to be informative to me. What's your particular stand on this topic that could be controversial?
I was just kind of like just writing down ideas of
Okay.
like things that I've been interested in, and
Okay.
maybe like eating habits and
Right.
why.
Okay. All right. So absolutely. So I think you're going the right direction. And now when you have to think about your persuasive speech topic, you got to think, and these are your broad areas of interest. You know this. Now you got to do even, push yourself further and then kind of narrow down your topic, and then even narrow it down further to your persuasive speech topic, where it has to be a controversial topic, or a topic where you have your own claim there, and which could have, where once we hear your claim, it could have conflicting positions. Okay. So, all right. So that is Valeria. Then Jules, I just talked to, okay, so this is Sydney. And okay, Sydney's is art history, medicine, micro arts. Okay, narrow area of his interest. Art history, Biko graphic mirrors, Chicago architecture, Art Deco. Okay, medicine, dermatology, medical ethics, Henry relax, modeling and okay. Pretty project. Art history, Art Deco is the most decadent and beautiful architecture style. Or Biko was the most influential. Oh, nice. Okay. Okay, so this is completely okay. So Art Deco. So you're doing okay, so it's going to be a comparative analysis, and you're going to either say Art Deco was the most beautiful decadent and most beautiful architectural style, or was it Biko? Okay, so
so these are just like a bunch of ideas that I put out there. Like
Okay.
I have the idea of going into the debate of Art Deco is one of the more prominent or like beautiful architecture styles in comparison to like there's hundreds of different architecture styles. So it's more of like a pinpoint type of thing where it's like I would specify that this is my opinion of it being the best in my opinion. And then versus Biko, like there's plenty of different graphic mirror companies worldwide. But Biko, which is a Chicago-born graphic mirror company, I think produces some of the best graphic mirrors by far. So I could compare like different companies around the US or whatnot. So that's just with the art
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely. So that's your position, and then you have to provide us why you think one is better than the other. But I think you're going absolutely in the right direction, no doubt about it. Medicine, Henrietta Lacks. Okay, okay. This one is totally the importance of sunscreen. Brilliant person, not really. Oh yes, first name the micro arts.
I don't really know what to do for micro arts. I might just throw that one out.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
Henrietta Lacks or the John Moore case, it's basically the debate whether once you have done like a biopsy or something and you forfeited these cells to the medical industry, or like they're considered disposed at that point.
Right.
They're no longer your cells and you cannot profit from them. So, well, I mean, they're still your cells, but you can't profit from cells that were considered disposed of. Like with the John Moore case, they sued, I forget exactly what company it was,
Right.
because he had, I think it was like cells taken from his either pancreas or something else.
Okay.
But basically they used that and I think they made like billions of dollars from these cells that and they created like medicines to treat those,
Very
I think it was
interesting.
leukemia,
Mhm.
but it's a really interesting case. So,
And so that's being, whether that's ethical, morally, it's a very
Yeah.
debatable topic.
Mhm.
Yeah, then there'd be so many angles. I mean, is it
And
ethical
then-
to serve the greater good, or then if you're doing the greater good, then what happens to that particular?
yeah.
people?
And then like with the Henrietta
Yeah.
Lacks case, she was in poverty and like her family couldn't even afford healthcare.
Mhm.
And they took her cells and basically her family made zero profit from it, even though like they couldn't even afford any healthcare or something like that. It's interesting, like the ethicalities behind it and like the
Yeah.
impacts of the people. And like, I'm sure it must be really, I don't know how it would make
No,
someone
that's
feel
absolutely
to,
fantastic, because there's a lot of first of all, you have the novelty factor because it's new information.
yeah, I
mean,
think with
so
Henrietta
you go
Lacks,
there, right?
with
Right.
Henrietta Lacks, it was $3 billion they made from her cells. And that was
Okay.
John Hopkins involved in that case. So it's
Okay.
super interesting. So
Yeah, and to have a persuasive speech where you're taking taking a position and defending your position in a
Mhm.
persuasive speech, that'll be super cool.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So then I have one last one from all. This is from Valeria actually. So it says topics was technology and how it. Also, you added a few more topics, Valeria.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So technology and how it changes our lives, and so you're interested in these topics, and underage alcohol consumption. These are all controversial topics. Okay, and you're interested in that, and you can of course take a position on these controversial topics. There will be not only two sides to this topic, there'll be multiple sides to this topic. All right. So here we go. All right. Thank you. So wonderful. So this is, and I wanted you all to get a taste of this one, and kind of also think about another thing that I wanted to mention to all of you is that also think about how comfortable are you getting into a debate with someone. Okay, so and you don't need to respond to me, but you can just think about it. So are you comfortable discussing your opinion or making a claim in front of a group of strangers? You got to think about that. So somebody like sometimes I feel that I am more comfortable talking about taking a stand on a position and talking to a group of people who I have never seen before. Okay, because I feel that they're not going to judge me. They don't even know me. I don't know them, so it's a clean slate. And what do I have to lose? But sometimes I feel very comfortable with a very close, intimate circle of people. For example, my mother. For example, my sisters. My immediate close circle, because I think they are not, even if they judge me. First of all, they are not going to judge me. They know me very well. And even if they judge me, how does it affect me? It's not going to affect me. So I'm going to be comfortable talking about very controversial topics with them. So it's either somebody, some people who I do not know, excuse me, absolutely do not know, strangers, or I'm comfortable with a very close circle. So in what happens to the in-between zone, people who I know, they are not strangers for me, and I am not very close. They're not really within my, within the closer circle. I might feel uncomfortable sharing. I'm just saying, like, I might feel uncomfortable sharing, making a claim or taking a, for example, sometimes, if I used to be on Facebook. I'm no longer, as much as active there anymore. But I would feel a little, if I have to take a position on politics or something that's the people are talking about, which is controversial, I would probably not feel very comfortable doing that in front of friends, or they're not really strangers, but I know them, because I don't know how they're going to think about my opinion. Okay, so you got to think about that aspect. Where are you comfortable? Are you comfortable in, first of all, everybody has an opinion, right? So that's our bias, and that's the ground that we stand on. Okay. So you'll have your opinion, but where do you feel more comfortable to address your opinions? Is it in a nameless blog? Somewhere people don't know you, people don't, have no clue about who you are. You're nameless. You probably have a name, but they'll never get to see you. Is it through, online blogging? Is it maybe you're at a conference and you have an opinion about, the topic that has been discussed, and you feel free to talk to a group of strangers who you do not know? Or is it between the very close people who are your family, actually? What happens to the middle zone, where you kind of, are you the kind of person who would feel comfortable in talking about making controversial claims, making persuasive claims, or persuasive claims on controversial topics, with friends, not strangers, but with friends and family who are not within your just maybe your second cousins, relatives, who's not within your closest zone. So you got to think about that. You don't need to respond to me, but you got to think about that, because that'll be an interesting way to discover yourself, and then kind of set goals for yourself. And it depends upon you. If you want to see yourself, give me a second, class. I don't know who this is. I will not take the phone, sorry. So if you want to see yourself as a person, if you want to grow into a person who feels comfortable in making claims and making in talking about your opinion in front of, let's say for me, in the middle zone where it's friends and extended family, then how, what are the things you got to do in order to get there? Okay, so you got to think about, set goals for yourself. All right, so let me a second here. I'm going to do it. Okay, all right. So here we go. I think we will. It's about 10:32. We have two speeches. Vinny will be going with his speech, and then we have, who else? We have somebody texted me. I think it's give me a second. This Jose. So Jose and Vinny, both of you are here. Jose?
Yes.
Yes, I am.
Okay, Jose, are you here too?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't, wait 1 second. Why do I not see Jose? Oh yeah, I can see. Okay, all right. So, okay, all right. So let's go. Okay, so we're going to hear these two speeches, and after that class is done, and I will see you. So please do write your feedback for Vinny, and then please write your feedback for Jose. And then I would like you to, for your homework, when we meet on Wednesday, I would like you to read the assigned chapters for persuasive speech, and then we will get going. We will be discussing a lot of concepts. Okay, so right now we will start with Vinny's speech, and still being recorded, and then after Vinny we will go with another speech, Jose's speech, and you can after you hear the speech, just turn in their evaluations as a single document to me, and then please make sure that you turn in your emails with evaluations for the speaker personally to them as an email. Okay, so we had, just to kind of remind you, we had Santiago as our first speaker. He talked about the Chinese calendar and everything, and then we had Joshua as our second speaker, talked about Spanish, learning Spanish. We had Valerie as a third speaker, who talked about journaling and her whole time management and stress and gratitude building. She was a third speaker. Now we'll have fourth, which is Vinny, and then we'll have our fifth speaker, which is Jose. So without any more. Okay, so let me see here. Vinny, would you like me to time you?
I don't really care.
Okay. Okay, so if you could turn on your camera.
All right. Shoot. There we go.
Okay. All right. Go. Start.
The K-pop industry is becoming more prominent, with artists like BTS or Blackpink receiving more recognition overseas. And being a K-pop fan since middle school, I have consumed a good chunk of the industry's content, and they provide good music, brilliant dancing, endearing personalities. The K-pop industry has always had a pleasing aesthetic, but what lies behind the pretty faces and cool dance moves? Is everything actually as perfect as it seems? After doing some research, I have discovered a much more sinister side to the industry. From the crazy stalker fans to extremely overworked and mistreated idols, I began to notice the toxic culture hidden beneath the surface of the industry. Now, typically the fandoms of the K-pop industry's typically the fandoms of K-pop groups are easygoing and fun, but at times some fans' adoration can turn into obsessive. And these obsessive fans are also known as saying can take their love for their idols to a creepy and sometimes even illegal level. These fans put their idols in dangerous situations by calling their phones, overcrowding at airports, sending creepy letters. And an example of this was a time when somebody wrote a letter with menstrual blood and sent it to a member of the group 2PM. And another example is when another K-pop idol was pulled off stage by one of these fans. And yes, these same fans can have a negative impact on the K-pop industry, but not all fans are. Most fans actually are very loving and show a lot of support in various ways and truly adore their idols. These Sasang fans play a major role in the formation of this toxic culture, but the entertainment companies play a big role as well. When doing my research, I discovered that many idols are mistreated, and it's nothing really new. They're forced into crazy, since the beginning of their debuts, and they are forced into crazy, unhealthy diets and worked to the bone. Some idols have even fainted on stage, like in 2010 when Crystal from FX fainted because of fatigue. Companies have also taken advantage of their idols financially, using unfair contracts and refusing to pay their idols. A video was even leaked from the group 101, and it showed them swearing and asking why they haven't been paid yet and why they're lacking freedom. And another group or somebody else, Tao from another group, sued their SM Entertainment for misconduct in their contracts, from unfair pay distribution and lack of freedom. And so, yes, there's all these negative things in the K-pop industry, but there's also, it has brought to light more acceptance of East Asia and like their culture, and it has also brought together communities and like great people have come together and like they've made great music, cool dance moves, and yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Vinny, which, this is the, what is the name of the group? K-pop.
The K-pop, well, K-pop, it's an industry. There's like multiple K-pop groups.
Okay. Okay, and how do you
It's
spell it? How do you spell it?
So it's K-pop, P-O-P.
Okay, K-pop. Okay. Okay, all right. That was Vinny for us. If you could please write your feedback. All right, let's go with our last speaker, Jose. Okay, 1 second here. I'm just going to remove. All right, Jose, would you like me to time you? Okay. Say something, Jose. I could not hear. Say something. Cannot hear at all.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. All right, you can start.
Throughout our life, we work under the clock. We usually have to give it our all and when it comes to the working environment, and sometimes we don't even give our time for ourselves. And we sometimes forget that we have to be thankful for the things that we have or grateful for the moments we share with others. During these past 7 days, I decided to study a different lifestyle of another country, and as well as their culture. But when I say culture, I mean in the working culture. For this one, the country that I involved in was Japan. In my first days, I was in full attention, searching as much as I could about the Japanese working system. Because as maybe some of you might know, they are one of the most hardworking. They have the longest working hours and even over working hours. Many as in one of the research that I conducted, many of the companies are like 8 hours overtime a month. That's shocking. Not even in the United States, like that's not even compared. But unfortunately, some of them don't get paid this time that they're giving to these companies, which is basically showing an example as I'm wasting my life, but the work will continue on. It's just how it is. And also, one of the most sad things that I found out about this is the fact that sometimes they work till they basically die. And that is where the limit's drawn. But I still found out that even though they go through all this, they're still thankful. They're still like grateful. They just don't come tired and just start saying what a life I have. I'm so unfortunate. They're just thankful of what they have. And the thing is that they give meaning to it, and of the most special things, or most of the simplest things. And I realize that because my mind always questioned, why do if they give so much thankful for, even if they live in this like type of environment, like they don't even have time for themselves, but they still give thanks when it comes to food. And I realized that it's not just about the religion, it's about the animal as well as life. Like they gave thanks for the food, to the workers that brought it for them to eat, and as well for the person that made it. And it just opened a bit my mind. Like I work and I sometimes give it my all, but I don't enjoy sometimes things or small things that I want, or I worry that I don't have the time. And sometimes, even if I'm supposedly enjoying in a restaurant eating, my mind is just thinking of work. Oh, I need to go tomorrow early at work. I need to do this for work. I need to do everything for work. And that's really something that, for me, is just mind-blowing when it comes to looking up to Japan workers and the dedication and their sacrifice and the dedication they have. It's inspiring, but it's also something that cannot just not be unlooked at. So from now on, I, for myself, have decided to work, but not too much. And sometimes give it my all, but do not overwork. But most importantly, enjoy things, the simplest things, because there's just one life, and that's all we have, nothing more.
Yeah. Thank you. That was Jose for us. So with this, it's about 10:47, guys. So please submit it to the speakers, and then submit it to me as a single document, and then email your responses to the 5 speakers who went today. So we had Santiago, Joshua, Valeria, Vinny, and finally we had Jose. So with this ends our informative speeches, and we move on to the next and the final section, which is persuasive speeches class. All right. Thank you very much. I would have stayed back with all the speakers giving you feedback, but what I will be doing today, because we actually, we didn't have time. So I will end the session here, and I will record my feedback, and I'll post your grades. I'll record my feedback and email it to the 2, 3, 4, 5 speakers today. All right. Thank you very much, class. I will see all of you on Wednesday. which is November 10th, right? Is it November 10th? Yeah. No, I'm sorry, not November 10th. It is November. I'm going to see you guys on Wednesday, which is November 9th on Zoom. All right. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.